Hello everyone, and welcome back to UK Seniors Hub. I hope you're all keeping warm, keeping well, and ready for today's important update. Because this one has been circulating all over the country, and if you're a pensioner, especially someone born before the early 1950s, this could make a real difference to your wallet in the weeks ahead. Now before we dive in, let me ask you something simple. Have you checked whether you could be entitled to the brand new pensioner support payment that's been talked about everywhere? Because a surprising number of older pensioners still don't know they might qualify. And when something is designed to help people who've spent decades contributing to this country, the last thing I want is for any of you to miss out just because the information wasn't explained clearly. So let's take a deep breath, let's go through this slowly, and let's break it all down together, the way we do here on UK Seniors Hub. Calm, clear, and real. All right, here's the headline. A new senior support initiative has been highlighted, aimed at older pensioners who fall into a very specific age category, particularly those born before the early 1950s. And the reason this update matters so much is because it's part of a bigger conversation happening nationwide about fairness, rising costs, and how older pensioners with lower base pension rates should be supported going forward. Now, let's talk about why this is happening. For years, pensioners who retired under older rules have been receiving significantly less than those on the newer state pension. Many people in their mid-70s, late 70s, even 80s are living on incomes that simply haven't kept pace with rising bills, higher food costs, and the increased expenses that come with aging. Things like heating, prescriptions, mobility needs, and basic daily essentials. Community groups, charities, and MPs have been raising concerns for months. Many of you watching have written letters, signed petitions, or spoken about how tough things have become. And finally, someone has listened. So let's break down what this new support actually means in simple, straightforward terms. First, the age group. The update focuses on older pensioners, that is, people who reached pension age decades ago, back when the system was very different and, frankly, much less generous. If you were born before the early 1950s, chances are you fall right into the age category being talked about. Now, if right now you're sitting at home thinking, well, that might be me, but nothing ever applies to me, please hold on for a moment. Because that is exactly how thousands of people miss out every single year. Not because they're not eligible, but because the rules were never explained in plain English. So here's plain English. This type of support is designed to close the gap between older and newer pension rates. It's a recognition that many of you have been living on the lowest end of the pension scale, and the government, under increasing public pressure, has been pushed to reconsider how these older pension groups are treated. Now let's talk about how this could reach you. One of the most important things to know is that older pension age support is usually delivered automatically. You don't fill in forms. You don't apply. There are no long queues, no complicated paperwork, and definitely no online links to click. In fact, the number one reason people miss these payments is not because they don't qualify. It's because their details weren't up to date with the DWP. So if you've changed banks in the last few years, if you moved house, if your living situation changed and you never told them, that can delay your payment or stop you from receiving it entirely. This is so important that I'm going to say it again because so many viewers write to me about missing payments. If the DWP doesn't have your current bank information or your correct address, you may not receive a payment you were fully entitled to. So please, after this video, take a moment to check. It could make all the difference. Now, something else that always comes up, will this affect my other benefits? And the answer, as usual for these support measures, is no. These types of payments, when they happen, typically don't interfere with pension credit, housing benefit, winter fuel payments, or anything else. They're separate, they're additional, they're designed to help, not replace something you already receive. But here's where things get a bit tricky, and it's why videos like this are so important. Whenever the government discusses new pensioner support, scammers come out of the woodwork. They send fake text messages, emails, WhatsApp messages, all pretending to be the DWP, asking for bank details or claim confirmations. Please listen carefully. The DWP will never text you asking for personal details. They will never email you a link to apply. They will never ask you to confirm your bank account online. Any message that does that is a scam. Delete it. Tell a friend, tell your family, protect yourself. Now let's talk about real life, your life. Because it's one thing to hear about a support payment in theory, and another to understand what it actually means day to day. Picture this. You're sitting at home on a cold morning. The heating's on low because, let's be honest, none of us feel comfortable putting it on full these days. And you're looking at the rising price of groceries, electricity, maybe even travel if you're still getting around on the bus or driving for errands. For some people, a few £100s isn't life-changing, but for many pensioners, especially those living alone, it can be the difference between feeling constant financial pressure and finally being able to take a breath. I've had viewers tell me that even an extra £50 helps them with medication. Others say they use it to top up the gas meter or to buy warmer clothes for the winter. And some put it aside for emergencies, a broken appliance, a leaky roof, or simply unexpected costs that always seem to pop up at the worst possible moment. The point is, help matters, fairness matters, and older pensioners deserve to be supported just as much as anyone else. Now let's talk about couples. If you live with a partner and both of you fall into the older pension age category, support payments are typically processed individually. In other words, you don't share one payment, you each receive your own. This can make a big difference for households where both people are older pensioners. Another common question I get is, what if someone passes away before receiving the payment? And again, usually, if the person was eligible at the time, the support does not disappear. It becomes part of their estate. Families can contact the DWP if they need clarification. Now let's talk about those of you living abroad. Some pensioners living outside the UK still qualify for certain support. Others don't. It depends entirely on whether the country you live in has a reciprocal agreement with the UK. So if you're watching from Spain, Cyprus, Australia, Canada, your situation may vary, but it's always worth double-checking. As we move toward the coming months, conversations about pension fairness are growing louder, not quieter. Charities, MPs, and senior advocacy groups are calling for long-term reforms, not just one-off help, to ensure older pensioners are treated more equally compared to those receiving the newer state pension. And honestly, it's about time. Older pensioners helped build this country, worked through tough times, raised families, paid taxes for decades. And now many are living on incomes that simply do not reflect the rising cost of modern life. So here's my final advice. Keep an eye on your bank account. Check that your DWP details are correct. And stay informed because new updates, changes, and support measures can appear at any time, and you deserve to know what's available to you. And of course, if you found this breakdown helpful, if you want calmer, clearer updates without all the confusion, then please take a second to tap like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This is UK Seniors Hub, and I'll be right here keeping you informed, supported, and always in the loop. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next update.